Good morning. It's 9 o'clock. We're going to begin the meeting. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll do the roll call. Commissioner Reed, are you here by telephone?
Here.
Commissioner Culberson?
Here.
All commissioners are accounted for. Now, Commissioner Reed, it's your day to lead in silent prayer.
A moment of silence, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We're going to go to public comment here, but first I would like to ask the commissioners leave of changing our agenda, moving the formal action portion up to follow the consent agenda. And we will move public comment to begin after that because there's several meetings that some commissioners need to be at noon, so we need to expedite that. If that's okay with everyone else.
I don't have a problem with it.
No problem. Yeah. Okay. So we will do that. So now we will move to the public comment. And just before we do public comment, I did want to say a couple words about President Trump lowered the flags, half-staff. We lost a great American, Dolly Parton. She was a great singer. She touched a lot of hearts and a lot of people's lives. And I just want to read a couple of. She was a great songwriter, and I want to read a couple of the lyrics that she wrote. And this is the coat of many collars. Back through the years, I go wandering once again, back to the seasons of my youth. I recall a box of rags that someone gave us, and how my mama put the rags to use. There were rags of many collars, but every piece was small, and I didn't have a coat, and it was way down in the fall. Mama sewed the rags together, sewing every piece with love. She made my coat of many collars that I was so proud of. As she sewed, she told a story from the Bible she had read about a coat of many collars Joseph wore, and then she said, "Perhaps this coat will bring you good luck and happiness," and I just couldn't wait to wear it, and Mama blessed it with a kiss. My coat of many collars that was my mama made for me, made only of rags, but I wore it so proudly. Although we had no money, oh, I was rich as I could be in my coat of many collars my mama made for me. So with patches on my breeches and holes in both my shoes, in my coat of many collars I hurried off to school, just to find the others laughing and making fun of me and my coat of many collars my mama made for me. And oh, I couldn't understand it, but I felt I was rich. And I told them of the love my mama sewed in every stitch. And I told all the story Mama told me while she sewed, how my coat of many collars was worth more than all their clothes. But they didn't understand it, and I tried to make them see that one is only poor only if they choose to be. Now I know we had no money, but I was rich as I could be in my coat of many collars my mama made for me, just for me. She was a great person, and she represented a lot of great American values, and we honor her today. So we will go to public comment now. Public comment shall be allowed at the beginning of each meeting and opened again at the end of the meeting after all regularly scheduled agenda items. Comments shall be limited to 5 minutes per person. However, commenters may speak for up to 5 minutes at both the beginning and the end of the meeting. Today's meeting is going to be a little different since we're moving it to the end. Everyone wishing to make a comment either on items on the agenda or not, are encouraged to provide their comments in writing no later than 8 a.m. the Monday immediately preceding the meeting. These comments will be included in the agenda packet for everyone to access and review. This allows the Commission to have time to fully consider the input and request follow-up if needed prior to the meeting. During times when the courthouse is closed and to the general public, anyone wishing to make a public comment will provide their comments in writing no later than 8 a.m. the Monday immediately preceding the meeting. These comments will be included and distributed with the normal meeting packet. And like we say today, we're moving it after our budget consideration. So at this time, I'll yield to administrative business.
Commissioners, I do have a couple of items. First off, I wanted to follow up on scheduling of the night meeting. I had asked for your availability. I did hear from 2 of the commissioners, but I haven't heard from the rest. It looks like the week of the 16th works for the 2 I have heard from. Wanted to see if anybody had a conflict to have that on the evening of the 16th. For our regular meeting would be that morning, and then that night we would have the night meeting that you've requested.
That's fine.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'll work on scheduling it for the evening of the 16th then. I will reach out to a couple of places to find a location.
What time is that going to work?
It's your meeting. I figured 6 o'clock. Let you get down there if that works.
Everybody else is good?
that's good.
Okay. So we'll do 6
All right.
o'clock on the 16th.
All right.
Then I have also had a few of you reach out about doing site visits and for data center site visits, if you wanted to go visit some of these places that are open to get an idea of what they're like, about reimbursement. And I just want to bring that up because there's there's a couple of you who have reached out about doing that. I wanted to make sure that the board didn't have issue with that, since we'll probably be exceeding, with more of you going and taking some of these longer trips, we'll be exceeding probably $5,000 in reimbursements. So I just wanted to make sure the rest of the board's okay with that.
And just for clarification, that reimbursement will be out of the funds provided by
I think that would be reasonable, yes.
Clover.
I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to do that. The more information we can get and see with our eyeballs,
Yeah.
probably the better it's going to be.
Okay.
My 2 cents.
No issues.
Do we need a motion on that? Or?
I just want to make sure that you all are aware that we're doing it. So, okay. And then last item for me, I was able to get the licensing set up for the WebEx Q&A, and I realized that some people were frustrated that it was a late notice, but it did take that long to get it all set up. It wasn't a simple process, but I think going forward will be smooth. So today at 12:30, we'll hold our first Q&A session via WebEx. And then also, I'm hopeful that we can utilize that same format for our interaction during the board meetings too. Have to call if other people need to call in. It looks like that's going to work for that. So this is kind of a good way to try it out before we try to do that as well. So hopefully we can eliminate this conference telephone system that we have and maybe implement like a WebEx that allows better interaction.
Mark, since I'm computer challenged, would you explain to everybody exactly what they need to do and call in the number or whatever to make this work? Okay,
so the way the WebEx is set up, there's a link. It's on our webpage. It's on a couple of places on the webpage, and then it's also on our Facebook. And if you click on that link, you sign up you just put in your name and your email address. There's no, and you're automatically approved. And that's to eliminate bots from coming in. So you just have to have that set up. And then from there, we'll log in as staff. We'll be online, and people will be able to submit their questions, and we'll respond to the questions live as we go. And then if we have questions that we can't answer at that time, we don't have the answer to, then we'll mark them down. And since we'll have everybody's email address, whoever it is, we'll be able to email their response to them. Which brings up a good point. These are designed to have some interaction, but if I receive questions directly, I respond to them. And I know some people have said that they've sent me questions and didn't get a response, but I can promise you I went back and looked I've not received an email directly from them. But if you don't have to wait for the Q&A sessions, if you have questions,
Go directly.
The commission. I mean, most of you on the commission have seen I respond.
Yeah.
So if you have questions, submit them directly to me, and I will respond. But that's what this Q&A is also for.
Thank you, Mark.
And that is all I have.
Thank you.
Do the Commissioner Reed, do you have anything for administrative business? Mr. Culberson?
I just got one thing. We talked about it a few weeks ago. I still think we need to get together, set on the agenda, and chat about how we conduct our meetings. I know we were all over the board a month ago. I just think, and this doesn't take anything away from people speaking, but I just think there's probably a better format we can do. So if it's all right with the county commissioner, I'd ask next week or following week that you come up with some ideas and we can have a discussion on that if you think it's worthwhile. But I'd like to see that occur.
I think that's an exceptional idea. I've ordered some material from Robert's Rules of Order and had the opportunity to, last Saturday, to attend a function that gave a description of it and how it's to be done, whereas it will alleviate some of the issues that we have had through communicating with individuals in a form as this, and I look forward to it because it can take a lot of doubt and take a lot of criticism out of it from both sides, whereas individuals can feel that they're being listened to and that their thoughts are being written down and answered. Are you done?
Yes.
Okay. The other thing that I want to bring up is that I think that we should have a session on property tax. It's been bothering me for quite a long time, and yesterday I had the opportunity to look at a piece from a senior newspaper. This is about the 7th or 8th individual that I've come into that are actually having to get out of their home because they can't afford the property taxes that are being levied on them by the state of Kansas. You can't hear me?
We're having a lot of trouble hearing.
I'm sorry. This thing is pinned down. So is this any better?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Sorry. And I think we should take some time to address the property tax issue, especially when it comes down to our seniors who are having to leave their home because they can't pay it. And the thing that really gets me is that those individuals who are leaving their homes because of this, we're having senior citizens apartment buildings built by taxpayer dollars that these seniors are having to pay on a yearly basis in order to fund that senior citizen. It seems like you're taking from Peter to pay Paul, and that's something that is unconscionable. I see my tax bill, and yes, it keeps going higher and higher and higher, but everyone here is not in the same position. Sure, I struggle to pay more. I consciously go like, what in the heck is going on here? So I think that that's something that we as commissioners have talked about many, many times, and I just want to see us have some more conversations about that, because we have too many seniors that are actually having to leave their own property just to survive. When you got to choose between a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a ham sandwich, that's not a choice when you don't like ham.
You know, Willie, you make a good point, and I know a lot of people ran and still are running on senior relief. And I thought one of the things that I saw on a couple candidates was about the property tax, and why should the seniors or 65 and older or whatever even have to pay it? They've paid into the system forever.
Yes.
And if we can't figure out a solution, even if we have to do it at the local level, to be able to cut them down on that. There's one that I'm very interested in, and I don't know the whole thing. Baser is looking at something about property tax, and I think it's got my curiosity, and I'm schedule, I'm going to have a meeting with one of their county commissioners, but there's got to be a way that if the state won't do it, and maybe they will to these people coming in, I don't know, that we can help, because, you know, when you're on that fixed income, nobody sees you out there, and you're still trying to make that payment on the property tax. And, you know, even when you lower it and go revenue neutral, there's still a cost. So I agree, we need to have a serious conversation, even if we have to take it to the local level.
I think you're right, Commissioner. That's something that I had a long conversation with Baser's mayor.
Yeah.
As late as last night, I just couldn't go to sleep with thinking about it. And there are some things that I think that we can implement, but we have to do some field work first in order before we put it out there. Because when you put it out there, people are just going to go rampant with it. Well, you should do this, you should do this. Well, we don't want to do it that way. I don't want to do it that way. I want to have some concrete information that we can explore and make some things happen other than just a conversation or hear every politician that comes before Mike says, I'm going to lower your property taxes. Well, let me tell you something. That has not happened. Ever. And when we hear individuals say, I've lowered your property taxes by lowering your Social Security, the money you're paying on Social Security, that's a lie. It's an outright lie. And you're playing games with people's funds, which is just something that should not happen. I'm not going to go on a rant here, but I'll keep it short. So we need to keep this meeting going. Thank you for allowing me to have this opportunity to vent just a little bit. I got more, trust me.
So we'll schedule that. I did have a couple things. I think when I started reviewing this, there's this project, the second part of the project that has come down to us in two sections, and it is the power plant proposal. And I really think that we need to have, when I look back at that work session we had, I don't think we fully understood or ascertained exactly how they were going to implement this power plant proposal. It looks like, I think many of us thought it was going to be on-site or redundant power for the data center, and apparently it's going to be a standalone power plant. And I think we really need to have a work session and get KDHE here and the KCC and Evergy, same folks we had, but go over the new proposal and what are the emissions requirements. We know if we're going to put a power plant south of Tonganoxie, we know that the emissions are going to go up. Well, what are the rules? What are the state rules, KDHE? What are the federal rules? Who's enforcing this? What provisions do we have for the county in our requirements in our PUD to put additional restrictions on emissions? Are we allowed to do that? Are we not? What are our limits to our authority, and who is going to regulate this? And I know we've dealt with KDHE before, and I don't think there's a lot of confidence in how KDHE always regulates everything. And so I do think if it's acceptable with everybody else, I think these are things that were missed in our work session. I think we need to have a conversation with these folks at least. Do we have a consensus? It's okay?
Sure.
All right. We'll put that together. Okay, then moving forward, is there a consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented, which includes the disorganizing of Fire District 1.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda with the notation that part of that is disorganizing of Fire District 1. Is there discussion? No discussion. Voting, Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Absolutely.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Then we will move now to formal board action, Leavenworth County General Fund budget. And for this, I'll let you do an introduction and then I'll open up the public hearing.
Okay. Commissioners, I'll go through the general fund and the special funds. It won't take too long. As you're aware, this year the county has adopted a revenue neutral stance, which means that it's the intent of Leavenworth County to operate 2027 using the same amount of property taxes as we are in 2026. This is, to my knowledge, the first time the county has accomplished that task. But to be clear, that doesn't mean that people's property taxes will go down, because the county only represents about 25% of your property taxes. School districts, fire districts, cities, if you live in the city, they control the majority of your property taxes, but the portion that the Leavenworth County has control over will, in fact, decrease this year. So what does that mean on the budget? So inflation this year is about 3.4%. That means that the cost of doing county business went up at least 3.4%. But as you're all aware, inflation hits the county much differently than potentially your own home. Plus, I know, speaking personally, I believe that the cost of my living has went up more than 3.4% over last year. We've had a hailstorm go through recently, and looking at 8 years ago, I had to have my roof replaced after a hailstorm, and this time it went up 3 times, not 3% in 8 years, but 300% in 8 years for a new roof. So I think inflation maybe is more than a little higher than being reported. But with all that, the county is still able to maintain a revenue neutral this year, and I think 2 years ago we were on the cusp of doing that, and then the courthouse roof became a problem, so we had to increase to cover for that. So I think we've been pretty judicious with the expenditures at the county level. And then this slide, which I will not go through completely, but this just demonstrates some of the expenditures that we've had and the increases that we've seen locally. So I guess it makes it that much more impressive that the Board of County Commissioners is able to consider a budget that's revenue neutral. Some of the budget enhancements, as you're aware, during the requests, IT asked for an additional staff member, and we have some licensing that is up that in order to keep the county secure and hopefully to help avoid some of the issues other communities are experiencing with ransomware. They made a request for some additional safety procedures, security procedures, and the county commission did approve that as approximately $490,000. The wages, over the last year, the board has approved amending a couple of pay plans, specifically Road and Bridge, as we were having a hard time recruiting and maintaining staff. We were just becoming a training ground, losing people. As soon as they'd get their CDL, basically they would move on. So the board was able to do that. And then, as you're aware, the sheriff also asked for a pay plan adjustment for 2027 because he also is having a hard time recruiting and retaining his staff. The board approved that. So those were the big ones. With the revenue neutral rate, the county will actually collect about $60,000 less in property taxes for 2027 than 2026. And if you have questions over any of these, please let me know. This is just the public notice for our budget for the general. When we call it the general budget, these are funds that are levied across all citizens, property owners in Leavenworth County, including inside the city limits. The special ones are only in certain districts or outside the city limits. So if you look at the right-hand column, the property tax rate of 35.086 versus the revenue neutral rate of 35.089. So we are revenue neutral. We are in compliance with the state guidelines with that. And if you look to the 2026 levy rate, it was 37.328. So we basically are dropping 2.25 mils off of our mill rate. And that, coupled with what we're dropping off of the special roads, it's about $3 million in property taxes less than we would have if we would have just maintained a flat mill. And this just gives you a better breakdown where you can actually see some of the items a little bigger so you can see them. But The general fund, as you can see, decreased about 3% from 2026 to 2027. Road and bridge is up about 3.39%. And again, I don't need to read all of these, but overall, our total budget for property value or levied funds is down 0.04% from 2027 to 2026. And just a kind of a pie graph of where the money goes. The general fund is obviously the biggest portion of our fund. In the general fund, you have the sheriff and EMS, all of the stuff that's in the courthouse, the treasurer, the clerk. Council on Aging is a separate fund, so it's not part of the general levy fund. But it is also a levy fund, though. But that's why the general fund is the biggest portion of your budget. Road and bridge is second, and then the employee benefits, and then after that, Council on Aging, health, and juvenile detention. And then this just compares the general fund by department, where the breakout is, and you can see which departments had increases and decreases. But overall, again, the total is down about $1.2 million from one year to the next. So public safety makes up a big portion of the county budget. In fact, it's the largest portion of our budget if you break it out. And this just kind of breaks out the difference of where those are: sheriff, courts, emergency management, EMS, health department, county attorney, the justice center, and community corrections. And it shows where that money is. Overall, they have an increase of about 3.11%, which, like I showed you before, is right in line with the CPI, the cost of inflation. And not that anybody would say that we could live without these things. It's just to show that a large portion of our budget is public safety, and therefore really not an area where you should make cuts. That brings me to the special revenue funds or special funds, and they are also revenue neutral. So in the special funds, you have local service road, and you'll hear me refer to that as the, a lot of times I'll say, you think of it as the gravel road tax. Anybody who lives outside the city limits pays an additional mill levy over and above the general one. So this year it's 8.467. In the past, it's held right around 9 mills. So it represents about a quarter mill drop in the out in the unincorporated area of the county. So again, but it does reflect revenue neutral. So we were able to go revenue neutral there as well. And the local service road, that is strictly public works. That's where they take care of all the gravel roads, some of the paved roads, especially anything that's chip sealed. A lot of it comes out of here. This fund is really designed to be standalone. However, I don't believe it ever has been, and it is supplemented some by the Road and Bridge Fund. But we are one of only 2 counties that have this style of local service road fund.
Excuse me. Mark, how much does a mill represent in actual dollars?
Depending upon, like in the special fund, it's about 400, and in local services, about 496,000, and in the general fund, it's about 1.25, 1.3 million for 1 mill.
Okay.
And then the county tax impact. Again, just reiterating, the county's portion of your property tax represents about 20 to 25% of your total taxes, depending upon where you live. In the rural area, it's a little higher, and in the cities, it's a little bit lower, because of the breakout. So, 30 to 35% rural areas. The proposed budget is revenue neutral in both the general and in the local service. It's a decrease of about 2.25 mills if you live in a city, and about 2.773 mills if you live in the rural area. And again, that reflects about a $3 million reduction as compared to as if we would have just maintained a flat mill levy. Which honestly, being able to stay at flat mill levy is a good goal when you have the kind of inflation that we've experienced. So the revenue neutral is even better. And I would just say that the ability to stay revenue neutral has a lot to do with our carryover, and that is not 100% related to EMS, but a portion of it. Our billing with EMS is going back up. During COVID, the billing went way down, and we have not recovered back to the levels we used to be. And as I talked to the board, the the county really only has a few ways of raising money. Primarily, it's reliance upon property taxes and then fees. And so it just happens to be that those fees are starting to recover, which is allowing us to have a little better cash carryover, which allows us then to go revenue neutral. I do not want to say that this is sustainable going forward. I don't know that revenue neutral is something that we can continue to do as long as there's inflation. But at least for this year, we were able to. And then I just wanted to show some of the services that are provided. On the average home in Leavenworth County, you pay about $130 a month in property taxes to the county. And for that $130 a month, these are the type of the services that we offer. I won't go through all of them, but I think sheriff, EMS, your elections, noxious weeds, community mental health, road and bridges, those are all part of it. So, and that's pretty much it for my presentation. We'll take any questions if you have any.
Mark, I've got one for you.
Yeah.
I noticed when we were going through the budget, we were able to really lower or keep the health plan for employees down to what, 6%?
Yeah.
Is that what it was? And one of the reasons I contributed that to was something that the staff and the folks up here got together, and when employees or their family now have a cold, instead of having to go into the ER or going and getting those high bills, we have a place now that they can go in, and the price is done very low. And I think that was working through Blue Cross, if I'm not correct. Is that the way that's working out?
So last year, for this year, for 2026 as well, but we were able to establish a employee clinic. That's what you're referring to. Looking through our usage, we noticed, similar to most health plans, a lot of the expenses related to urgent care and emergency room visits, because it's so hard to get in to see your doctor. And when you have the flu, COVID, or something like that, if you have to wait for 3 weeks to go see your doctor, it really isn't helpful. So you end up going to urgent care, which is one of the most expensive places, except for the ER, which is worse, obviously. So we spun up the clinic utilizing one-time funds from Blue Cross Blue Shield, and based on the year that we've had, seeing the usage, it's helped to reduce our expenditures overall, which helps keep our premium low. So that is included in the 2027 budget to continue that clinic. However, now it's on the county's share. The Blue Cross Blue Shield is not paying for it going forward. It was a one-time thing just to kind of see how it worked, and it worked. It helped keep our rates low. It's the lowest increase we've had in at least a dozen years, and compared to the people around us, medical inflation is one of the highest areas of inflation in the United States. So to be able to do it around 6% is pretty impressive.
Well, I think that's hats off to the staff and Mark, to you and the county commissioners, because most places that can use this are a lot larger than us. You got the real large cities that can afford to put that out, but for us to come up with that and show it, and anybody's got a health plan that pays on it, when you go from, I can remember that sometimes every year they were about 15%, 18%, when you can drop it down to 6%, and you get better, I wouldn't say better service, but you get your folks in and out pretty quick, that's something to be proud of. So I'm glad to see that worked out well, and I hope we continue that work.
Yeah, 3 years ago our increase was 24%. Then the last 2 years we've kept it in single digits. So that's been working for us.
Yeah, very pleased with that.
So questions, Commissioner Reed, did you have any questions?
No.
Mr. Culberson? The only question I had was on that clinic, what's the yearly cost of that?
It's directly related to the number of employees, but right now it's around $250,000 to $275,000.
Commissioner Dove, did you have any questions?
No.
Okay. So we'll now open the public hearing on the Leavenworth County General Fund budget. So at this time, anyone who is here who would like to speak in favor of adoption or make comments towards that, please come forward. Favor of adoption? Favor of adoption. Anyone in opposition to adoption of the budget, please come forward.
think
Or
it's good to go.
either position, come on.
Come on down.
Good morning. My name is Laura Fowler. Thank you for meeting with us today. I am in favor of the revenue neutral budget, particularly from the fact that the city just voted to increase taxes. I've been to school board meetings. They also increased taxes. So any relief would be appreciated. For context, for my family and me, I am a single parent, and in the 3 years I've owned my house, my taxes have gone up $1,000 in that 3-year period. So any effort to reduce spending and be efficient and find better ways is greatly appreciated. So
Thank you.
Anyone else want to make a comment on the budget? This is the Leavenworth County General Fund budget. Anyone else? I will then close the public hearing on the Leavenworth County General Fund budget. And I do want to offer, I have 3 motions that these are revisiting some reductions in spending or some redistributing some money, and just place these out there for consideration. And this first one's easy. We have a line item, economic development, that the last 2 years we haven't expended that. It's just sat there. So my motion is that I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve a one-time redirection of approximately $85,658 from the Economic Development Reserve Fund balance to establish an Arts, Humanities, and Historical Society grant program to support historical societies, historical programs, arts and humanities, or historical educational institutions in protecting Leavenworth County history and culture, to be overseen by the Board of County Commissioners or a board subsequently established by the Commission on the basis that such programs constitute economic development efforts by attracting visitors to Leavenworth County, effective upon adoption of the fiscal year 2027 budget, or by separate board order as appropriate. And that's my motion. This money's the last 2 years has just been sitting in the fund, and I think it would be appropriate economic development to. In the past, the county has supported these type of efforts, and I think we should consider.
Let me ask you a question, Commissioner. Is this the funds that we usually gave to Port Authority and LCDC? Is that what the $84,000?
Yes, Commissioner, these funds are in the Economic Development Fund, and so therefore they are restricted to be used specifically for economic development purposes. I think the motion that Commissioner Stephen presented does adequately call out that it would be enhancing the museums and arts increases economic development. So I think the motion is adequate, but that is where it is from. It does not impact the mill levy because the money is already there. There's no levy for that right now. It's just sitting in that fund.
Well, I'll bring this up like I have the last couple times. Whether you support the LCDC or Port Authority, Leavenworth County does not have an economic engine. And right now, that's all we've got. And we've cut those folks down from 400,000 down to 80-something thousand. And now we're not even funding that because there's a dispute on if we should have somebody on the committee, which I understand that. But now to take that away, when that's the money we've been using from LCDC to Port Authority, I can't go along with that.
Well, Commissioner, we didn't spend any of this money. Just sat last year, and it seems that if the money's just going to sit, let's put it to use for some economic development this year, and the new commissioners that come on can deal with the issues with the economic development folks, but let's not let this money just sit.
Well, I don't think it'll sit with the new county commissioners. I'm just saying because everyone realizes you've got to promote your county, and if you don't promote your county, everyone else around you is going to in their county. So I think I would rather prefer to let this sit as it is and let the new county commissioners decide how they would like to have it spent.
We have talked about the new commissioners coming in and waiting for them to make decisions on an issue, and it makes it appear as though this commission is not able to make any decision. It means a lame duck commission. I totally disagree with that. I think that we've taken these funds, we've held these funds, we've actually held them back from going out and looking at acquisitions that could possibly help Leavenworth County. And if we're going to do anything with those funds, I think those funds should go to the LCDC in order to us to help Leavenworth County grow. I hear what you're saying, but I don't agree with that motion. So I would vote no on that motion if it came to me.
Yes, I support those funds going currently for this year's budget to LCD.
Well, so right at the moment, I have a motion. Is there no second? I can't second. All right, that motion fails, lack of a second. My second motion will be, I move that the Board of County Commissioners approve a reduction of approximately $150,000 in the fiscal year 2027 budget by eliminating monitoring of the front public entrance of the courthouse by 2 deputies and limiting public entrance to the single rear handicap access entrance only, effective upon adoption of the fiscal year 2027 budget, and direct staff to implement the corresponding operational and budgetary adjustments. This is also, in my view, a security measure because we would only then have the public coming in one place. That seems to me to be a more secure building. And at the state capitol, they only have one entrance for the public. This would also be a substantial savings, and so that is my motion. Do I have a second?
Mike, I understand your comments. I've been an old cop for a lot of years. I can understand that. And if we did this, we'd definitely put some people back into the sheriff's department and let him patrol more and stuff like that. It's just that putting them all in one area, to me, is not what I want to do right now. But at the same time, Commissioner, I totally understand what you're trying to get at.
Wasn't this brought up in last
Yes.
year's budget to do this?
Yeah.
And it was voted down. Do it again. So I don't think we're doing this. I think they're doing an outstanding job, and I think that if that motion should really come, that I would believe that the sheriff's department would be more of an authority of the security measures than we are. Sure, we control the funds. However, we should not try to control the effectiveness of the sheriff's department.
This isn't trying to control the effectiveness. This is just limiting the door of the building would be limited to one door. We wouldn't have to have the additional 2 deputies.
We could word it any way you want, but you're still limiting your effectiveness, and you're mandating to the sheriff, who is the authority for the county, as to what he can and can't do. If that motion, if there's any validity to this motion, I think it should come from the sheriff's department, not from us as cutting its funds.
Well, this is an effort to reduce expenditures on something that does not, that has a very limited impact on reducing services. So this is some areas, and there's a lot of these that we could do that would reduce services a little, but save a lot of money. So I'm seeing I'm not getting a second on this motion. So I'll withdraw. That's all I have. Is there a motion?
Approve the budget, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioner,
Go ahead,
before you make
Mark.
the motion, can I just say, the motion would be to approve the 2027 Leavenworth County budget. It says general fund, but I want to be sure it's just the budget, because there's more than just the general fund you're approving here.
Well, what you need for it to say is general fund budget.
Yeah, just say 2027 Leavenworth County
Just
budget.
budget?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Motion to approve 2027 Leavenworth County budget.
Is that
Much of a motion.
motion? Second.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Discussion. Commissioner Reed, did you have anything to add to the discussion?
No,
Mr. Culberson? My only comment is I would say a couple things. The disappointing thing is when the county goes revenue neutral and we control only 25 cents, and then our other taxing entities increase their mill, then the taxpayer only sees a very small, either a small reduction or no reduction at all. The counties, we have 25 cents out of your dollar of property taxes. The other taxing entities have all the rest of it, and if they raise their mills and it overtakes the amount that we reduced our mill, then you don't get any kind of tax relief. And this is why, honestly, 26 states have a cap on property tax. We need to have that in Kansas. In Arkansas, several other states, when you hit 65, your property taxes are frozen. They don't keep going up.
That's correct.
We need that in Kansas.
Yep.
That's a role for the state legislators. And they have been failing year after year after year for the last number of years. I pray that our new governor, whoever that may be, and our new legislators will do something. We were looking at property. We were just, looking at Zillow, and we were looking at properties down around the Lake of the Ozarks. There was a $450,000 house, and the property taxes was $2,300. Well, all of you know, a house like that in Kansas right now is running $600 to $6,500.
It's running over 7,000.
It's absolutely driving people out of the state. It's destroying the business climate of this state, and our legislators seem tone deaf. They don't understand that this has to be solved, or Kansas is going to be economically hindered. So I want you to know I feel really good about this budget process that the county has encountered. We've gone revenue neutral, first time in the history of Leavenworth County. And all the commissioners work together on it, but we can't do. When you get your bill, it says Leavenworth County, but it's all the taxing entities of Leavenworth County, and unless everybody works together. A number of years ago, we tried to get all the school districts, the cities, everybody to get together, have a big meeting to talk about property taxes.
Nobody showed up.
Nobody showed up. Nobody wanted to talk about it. Because the people that are passing these big tax increases, they're not visible. And I also understand, because I have a lot of friends that are like in different roles, school districts and these kind of things, that there's a lot of state mandates. Just like so your hands are tied on some of these levels, but. This all has to be talked about, and we're not going to solve it, and you're going to drive the folks on fixed incomes completely out of the state if we don't stop it. So,
Driving to Missouri, that's where they're doing it.
And I feel good about this budget. We did a good job. This is a good job for the county, and but everybody else has to be on board. So
keep voting for the same people over and over and over again. You're going to get the same thing.
So, any further comments?
No.
We'll move to a vote. So, voting, Commissioner Reed.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now we'll move to Leavenworth County Special Other Fund Budget. You want to introduce that?
Commissioner, I did cover that already. Again, this is revenue neutral. The special funds includes the local sewer districts that we have. They are self-funded. It's required by state statute that they pay all their own bills. There are no change to those as far as the amount that we levy against them this year. And then the local service, which is the easiest way, the gravel road tax. So people who live outside the incorporated city limits pay an additional tax of 8.467 with this budget, but it is revenue neutral.
And it's the sewer districts are fee-based. They just match whatever the cost is.
Whatever the expenses are, those are levied against those properties, basically divided by the number of connections.
And are we actually prohibited from making money on that by statute?
Yes, statutorily, one, we cannot supplement them, and two, we cannot take money back out of them. You can only charge them for their direct expenditures.
So we will now open the public hearing on the Leavenworth County Special Other Funds budget. So anyone that would like to come and speak to the Special Other Funds budget, come on forward. Opportunity to speak. Well, seeing none, we will close the public hearing at this time and take a motion.
Jeff?
Are we talking about special other
Yeah.
funds budget?
Yes.
Consider a motion to approve 2027 Leavenworth County Special Other Funds budget.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the Leavenworth County Special Other Funds budget. Is there further discussion? Mr. Reed?
No discussion.
No discussion, then voting. Commissioner Reed?
Aye.
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 All right. So that takes care of our formal board action. So now we will move to public comment. And just a note, I don't know how long public comment is going to go, but I have to be at a meeting at noon, so I may be ducking out. But come on.
Morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Jim Carlskin from Reno County Township. I want to raise a concern that I believe is important to the integrity of the entire process of the consideration of a hyperscale data center and a power plant just south of Tonganoxie. We understand the county staff has a responsibility to work with applicants. We expect them to answer questions, explain procedures, and help applicants navigate the regulatory process. But there's an important line that must never be crossed. County staff must remain objective, impartial, and unbiased. And unfortunately, there is a growing perception among citizens that the county administrator and the director of planning and zoning have gone beyond simply administering the process and have become advocates for Cloverleaf and its proposed data center and power plant. Whether this perception is justified or not, it is a serious problem because this isn't any ordinary development. This is a massive industrial project that could have consequences for our water, roads, electricity, air quality, noise levels, property values, agriculture, and the future character of our community and this county for decades. Citizens should not have to wonder whether the county staff sitting across the table are working for the public interest or working to make it easier for the developer to get a project approved. The developer has attorneys, engineers, consultants, lobbyists, and financial resources. We citizens don't have those advantages. That's why the county's professional staff must be neutral, be the neutral party in the middle. They should apply the same standards to Cloverleaf that they would apply to any other situation. They should identify deficiencies in an application, not find ways around them. They should require the studies and documentation necessary to protect the public, not simply accept assurances from the developer. And when citizens raise legitimate concerns, these concerns should receive the same seriousness and attention given the developer's request. We are not asking the county staff to oppose Cloverleaf. We are asking them not to advocate for Cloverleaf. There is a fundamental difference. If this project is truly appropriate for Leavenworth County, then it should be able to withstand an objective, rigorous, and independent review. If this project meets every requirement, let it demonstrate that. But the process must never become a race to accommodate the applicant. So today I respectfully ask the County Commission to make something very clear. County staff are to remain neutral. The rules apply equally to everyone. No applicant gets special treatment, and the public deserves complete confidence in the people administrating this process. and protecting the interest of the entire county, not the interest of one developer. Examples I was pointing out, July 8th, Planning and Zoning Commission meeting. More than 30 concerns were proposed. Rules and regulations were shared with the Commission by a member of the Commission that I provided. Few were considered. On August the 12th, meeting of Planning and Zoning, 20 people expressed concerns over rules and regulations. The Commission voted 8-1 to table the rules and regulations and request a combined meeting with the commissioners and the Planning and Zoning Commission. Why were no citizens ignored at the July 8th meeting? Then last week we saw the Stifel report that exaggerates the amount of revenue that will be received by taxing districts in the county. As I pointed out last week, the report gave the impression that USD 464 would receive $23 million in additional funds due to Cloverleaf, when in reality it might receive 1/10 of that, plus numerous other discrepancies throughout that report. Then there was a biased report that favored the developer, then questionable transparency with Kutak Rock and SMH for the road and study on County Road 1. Because when the final decision is made, citizens need to know that it was based on facts, evidence, and the law, not on how effectively a developer was accommodated along the way. This is bigger than Cloverleaf. It is about the integrity of Leavenworth County, and the integrity must come first. Thank you for your time.
Good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Richard Paz, 1775 Michaels Road. I want to return to the Stifel report and how the county has been using it, because it appears to reveal a pattern in which the county's duty to the public is being displaced by accommodation of the applicant. Last week I said my goal was not to shoot the messenger, and that remains. My concern is that the report's own disclaimers, which are extensive, have been dropped from the way the county is presenting these numbers, or had presented those numbers. And the report, it said itself, quote, "This report does not constitute tax, legal, accounting, or investment advice, and should not be relied upon for budgeting, for inclusion in any official statement or offering document, or for any public representation," close quote. The report itself does not net out property tax foregone under the SB 98 exemption, and it is based on a conceptual site plan, not either of the planned unit development applications now before the county. And I'll remark it bears repeating on the SB 98. I've heard the comments about taxes. Part of that is the state giving massive tax exemptions, which has the same effect as giving the folks having been given the exemptions, as writing a check at the end. It has the same fiscal effect. And revenue sharing used to be a part of how cities and counties were able to keep up with inflation. So on that part, I agree with you completely. All I'm saying is don't shoot yourself in the foot, because we need to make sure that the state is doing its part, and that's been a large part of the problem. With that said, a county government has one job that comes before every other: to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the people who live here. That obligation is in the county's own zoning code. Article 1 of the zoning regulations exists to, quote, "The zoning regulations and districts are herein established have been made in accordance with the land use plan to promote, in accordance with the present and future needs, the safety, morals, order, convenience, prosperity, and general welfare of the citizens of Leavenworth County, Kansas," close quote. That obligation is not shared by the applicant. A private company's interests are its own: profitability, project viability, return to investors. Those are legitimate private interests, but they are not the county's interests. A revenue analysis prepared for the applicant's benefit will not answer the questions the county is obligated to answer to the public. What I'm referring to is governance in the public interest. It's basic. There are now 2 applications on the county's planning and zoning page. DEV 26113 is Western Meadowlark Project LLCs. That's a subsidiary of Cloverleaf. And it's for roughly 630 acres, and that's from the design statement of 18 August. DEV 26114 is a separate PUD for a power generation plant on the same project site, submitted again by Western Meadowlark, and that's dated 17 August. The applicant's own document says, quote, "Project Bluestem Power Generation and the Project Bluestem Data Center Campus are complementary components of one coordinated project and are intended to be reviewed holistically," close quote. But the same design statement also says the 2 applications were, quote, submitted separately to accommodate distinct parcels, real estate transactions, and related administrative requirements. I would hope that the applicant does not get to be unified for the standards it wants and then separate for the standards it doesn't want. There is a second problem with the DEV 26114. It asks the county to adopt as a base district the planned industrial technology regulations the Planning Commission tabled on 12 August, a district the county has not enacted. And that district lists power generation only in its general definitions, not in any primary or accessory use list, while prohibiting, quote, any use not expressly listed as permitted or accessory, close quote. So on its face, the applicant's proposed district prohibits the applicant's proposed use. Now, I know this is preliminary, but again, we're catching these contradictions, and the information needs to be sorted, and we need to be given complete information. The design statement then concedes that, quote, the specific power generation technology to be deployed at the project has not yet been determined. However, it's been brought to my attention there are studies within which give you some figures, but again, what is the intended power usage and how will that be deployed? So there's no megawatt figure in the filing. As far as the design statement is concerned, the county is being asked to approve an undefined power plant on a technical record assembled for a different project. However, there are technical specifications which list numbers based on prior meetings or concepts provided to them. That is the application. The Stiefel numbers, again, which were being used to promote. A gross revenue projection cannot answer public interest questions when the underlying application does not yet describe what will be built. Now, I'll also note that the county, as Mark said, we have a Q&A with the staff. That's a good start, but again, short notice, and that's a time most residents cannot attend. But my last point is I would repeat that there's a lack of confidence in the process, and the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Leavenworth County is not the applicant's job. It is not Stiefel's job. It is this board's job. Thank you.
Mr. Claus. There was a presentation about the electricity usage being taxed. My understanding is in the tariff that there's two exceptions.
Yes, there are.
And those with exempt taxes, is that correct?
Right, they would be adjusted to give discounts. There are two riders within the LLP tariff, and if you're generating your own, or you are saying, well, you know, we want to generate our power because there might be interruptions, the user is given discounts, or again, retail tax would then not apply if you're producing it on your own. But again, that was not given in the report, so we don't know how much of the figures that were given would actually come out to bear when the actual generation happens, and if they're doing a large amount of it behind the meter or in a pre-made agreement where the entity, one or two, you know, whether you look at it like that, would generate it themselves. So the gross figures certainly do not reflect what could happen. And again, that's already in the tariff. And if I were them, yeah, I'd take advantage of that if I'm producing my own power, no doubt.
So we earlier learned from earlier statistics that were presented that we, with the incentives or basically subsidies that are Incentive Bill 98, and we include all of that, that go in the hole after 20 years between 900,000 and 1.2. Now, when they presented this number for electricity, that could offset that by a couple $100,000. But what you're saying is that couple $100,000 is in dispute.
Well, it could offset the retail tax on electricity. Certainly could offset it. But again, the preliminary figures that we're looking at, it may be up to a quarter. But again, I'm going back to look at those figures. But it comes nowhere close to offsetting it completely. And back to the tax question, again, we're foregoing billions to trillion-dollar market cap companies, even with a state general fund of $10.7 billion. But again, we know the priority is towards projects like these, not the people.
So the local carrot is out there with the property taxes, but if you add everything together, the taxpayer goes in the hole.
Yes, our general calculations show that. But if we do this report again, I would hope that we have someone objective who can confirm or deny that. I would offer that up.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
My name is Tammy Patton. I am in Lansing, Kansas. This is given from someone that lives in the community. It's a speech that they had written. I work in the construction of large-scale data centers in the Kansas City region. Because of the experience, I believe there are several important questions the public deserves answers to before Leavenworth County allows a project of this magnitude to move forward. Please keep in mind that the version that you guys got is like twice the size of the one I'm about to read. The concern is not simply the construction of a large building filled with computers. A hyperscale data center of this size being discussed for Project Bluestem requires an enormous supporting infrastructure, electrical generation and transmission substations. Water and cooling systems, roads, telecommunications infrastructure, backup generation, and potentially additionally natural gas infrastructure. Those impacts need to be evaluated as part of the project, not separately or after approval. Electrical demand and grid capacity. This is my greatest infrastructure concern. I have worked on the large-scale data center in the Kansas City region where currently operating facilities require approximately 110 megawatts of electricity power with additional construction planned. To put the difference into perspective, 1.2 gigawatts is nearly 11 times the 110 megawatt operating load of the large-scale facility I've personally worked around. That raises fundamental questions that should be answered before this project is approved. How much additional generation and transmission infrastructure would be necessary to support Bluestem at full build-out? What new substations, transmission lines, pipelines, generating equipment, or other infrastructure would have to be constructed? And most importantly, who will ultimately pay for it? The developer has publicly stated that Project Bluestem will pay for power and transmission upgrades required for the project and that existing ratepayers will be protected. That commitment should not remain a public relations promise. It should be a legally enforceable requirement. On-site generation. The company currently states that this generation would feed electricity into the larger electrical grid rather than directly powering Project Bluestem. That raises additional questions and deserve very specific answers. With additional high-pressure natural gas infrastructure be required, and if this generating facility is supposedly intended to support the regional electrical grid rather than Project Bluestem itself, why is it being proposed as part of this development and located on this property? A data center accompanied by substantial electrical generation is not simply a data center. It becomes a major industrial and energy development, and the county should evaluate the cumulative impact accordingly. Water and cooling. The developer should disclose the engineering estimates for initial system fill requirements, maximal daily water demand, maximum annual water consumption, water required during maintenance or emergency conditions, the source of the water, the infrastructure necessary to deliver it. If the developer's statement, the water consumption will be minimal, is accurate, there should be no objection to putting enforceable maximum water use requirements into the project's approval. The county should also require an independent analysis demonstrating the project's demand will not reduce water availability, pressure, reliability, or affordability for existing residents. Construction, traffic, and infrastructure. Before construction begins, the county should know who pays for damage or accelerated deterioration, who pays for road widening, intersections, signals, bridges, or other improvements that become necessary because of the project. Again, these costs should not be transferred to residents. The long-term economic question. The community needs to complete accounting of expected tax revenue, tax exemptions and incentives, infrastructure costs, road costs, public service costs, and other financial obligations associated with the development. The biggest concern is what we still don't know. We don't have a final electrical demand. We don't know the final generating technology or capacity. We don't know how the final configuration of the generation facility. We don't have final water demand figures. We don't have final noise modeling. We don't have a final air emissions modeling. We don't have a final construction plan. Those aren't minor details. Details are the project. Once a development of this magnitude has been approved and billions of dollars have been invested, the community's negotiating power changes dramatically. This is why the appropriate time to establish protections is now. What I would ask the county to do, this does not have to be an argument on whether someone is for technology or against data centers. It is about whether a project of unprecedented scale is appropriate for this particular location and whether adequate protection exists for the people who already live here. Before Project Bluestem moves forward, I believe Leavenworth County should require independent studies of electrical infrastructure, water availability, air quality, noise traffic emergency response, and project's complete fiscal impact. Those studies should evaluate the project at its maximum potential build-out, not merely phase one. You guys got the biggest part of it. There's way more to this. He does live in the county and is very concerned about this project. So I will also give you a copy. And if anybody else wants a copy, I'll email it to you. Thank you.
Could you please have that person reach out to me?
I'm not 100% sure that they will, but I will ask just because of their job. But
Okay.
I will ask.
All right. Good morning.
Good morning. Robin Hunter-Beeler. I live in Tonganoxie. I am a lifelong resident of Leavenworth County. I did not plan to speak today, but I heard something that just spiked my interest. We were talking about, you were talking about the retired people and the horrible situation that is happening. And my husband and I are reaching that age, and we can definitely I'm lost for the word. We definitely get it. I mean, our taxes just keep going up and up and up. And the fact that people are having to leave their homes because they can't afford to live here anymore is heartbreaking. And I'm really glad you're taking a better look at that. But at the same time, what about the people that are being forced to leave their homes for the data center? Is that not heartbreaking? What about the people that are getting daily emails and basically, in my words, getting hounded about how much they're going to give them for their property, and you better answer now, and they are under a tremendous amount of stress. And then the people that live where they know they're going to hear the noise, they know their wildlife is going to scatter, they know their farms are going to be affected in some way. What about them? Do you not have the same feelings for them as you do? I mean, yes, they're old, elderly people, they can't pay their taxes, they're having to move, that is horrible. What about this? Is this not horrible as well? I would really like you to think about being one of these people that is being displaced. You have heard about the people that, I just met someone that built their home in 1974 and they've lived there. The man that his entire family has a compound. I've heard of another third or fourth generation family that has a compound right near this place. What about them? I just don't get it. That how can they just be pushed out? I just don't think it's right, and I also don't think it's right how much we've been kept in the dark, and I feel like it's being hidden. I feel like there are things going on behind closed doors, and why wouldn't we feel that way? And I'm just begging you that after that vote of 8-1 at the planning and zoning, that they were so concerned, and all these people that are concerned, when are we going to get together and talk about this? We haven't been unruly. We have been as respectful as we possibly can. We are stressed out. We live every day with uncertainty. We live close enough to the data center. We don't know if we will be affected or not, but we very much could be. Our property values could definitely be affected. I am living with uncertainty every single day, every single hour. I wake up, and this is the first thing I think of. And trust me, I am not the only one that feels this way. Please help us. Thank you.
D. Carl Skint, Reno Township. Good morning. Will the Clean Air Act provide strict enough rules for a proposed 1.2 gigawatt data center in Kansas? The Clean Air Act is a federal baseline. The KDHE enforces these rules, maybe. A facility of this magnitude, a 1.2 gigawatt, is not a small operation. It will almost certainly be classified as a major source of pollution, emitting over 100 tons of pollutants annually. This classification will require a Class 1 operating permit and should be strictest tier of oversight in the state, requiring detailed public review and federal approval. On paper, that framework looks robust. However, two major federal changes in 25 and 26 have altered the playing field. First, September of 25, the EPA redefined begin actual construction. Developers can now build the foundations, the steel, and the walls before their air quality permits are finalized. While they cannot install the generators yet, this reduces the regulator's leverage. It creates pressure to approve permits quietly to avoid leaving billion-dollar structures stranded. Second, January of 26, the new source performance standards for stationary combustion turbines, specifically under 40 CFR Part 60, which regulates emissions from these sources. Rules tightened emission limits for turbines, mandating lower nitrogen oxide levels, unless you pull a Elon Musk. The same rule created exemptions for low use and temporary turbines. If a data center classifies its massive backup generators under these new categories, they could bypass the rigorous Class 1 permitting process entirely, escaping public scrutiny and detailed modeling. What no one talks about is the cumulative impact. The Kansas City metro area, DeSoto, potential Lawrence, and KCK, we are seeing a cluster of hyperscale facilities the current regulating system evaluates, permits one by one. It does not require a mandatory analysis of what happens when you add the emissions of 5 or 6 data centers together in the same airshed. The health implications are severe. These facilities rely on backup generators and fossil fuel turbines to emit the PM 2.5 fine particulates. Recent studies project that respiratory health care costs from data center pollution could reach $20 billion, with a B, annually nationwide. I don't think that was in the CEFL report. In Kansas City, this burden is not shared equally. There is growing evidence that these facilities are disproportionately sited near disadvantaged communities, compounding existing environmental justice issues. Furthermore, recent data from the July 26 indicates that areas downwind of these clusters are experiencing localized heat islands, raising temperatures up to 4 degrees Fahrenheit. Because state and federal rules are lagging on cumulative impacts, local cities are stepping into the breach. To look at process and oversight, the answer is no. The ability to build before permitting and exemptions for temporary generators and the lack of mandatory cumulative modeling creates significant gaps. The Clean Air Act provides the tools for strict regulation, but recent federal streamlining measures have dulled their edge. Ultimately, the strictness of these rules in Kansas will depend on whether KDHE chooses to close these loopholes and whether local zoning boards continue to assert their authority to protect community health over industrial speed. So when John Jacobson holds up the KDHE and the Clean Air documents, he is in essence putting our health and life in the hands of government bureaucracy and washing his hands of any accountability. Concerned citizens have been violated by him and Mark Laughley because of repeated stall tactics. Moratorium was pushed 3 weeks on agenda, pushing responsibility of the health and safety to weak rules and regulations that will never be reinforced with accountability. Do not underestimate the integrity, the knowledge, the expertise, and the determination of the citizens who have done their homework. Commissioners John Jacobson, Mark Laughley, you will be held accountable to do what is right for the residents and constituents of Leavenworth County. Be the county of change and do the right thing. Uphold your oath and represent your constituents. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Lee Hungerbeeler. I live at 21549 187th Street in Tonganoxie in the 3rd District. The final item on the agenda during the August 12th meeting of the Leavenworth County Planning Commission was a consideration of a language amendment to the 2006 Leavenworth County zoning and subdivision regulations. At the end of that meeting, a motion was made by Commissioner Bailey and seconded by Commissioner Skeet to table that item until the September 9th meeting, and prior to that meeting, there was to be a joint evening work session between the Planning Commission, the BOCC, and the public invited, with the possibility of having public comment. Motion passed 8-1, with Commissioner Gribble voting nay and Chairman Spink abstaining. We have yet to see it added to the agenda for the BOCC or posted anywhere for public notification. Outside of any executive sessions, this joint work session isn't listed for public discussion today, nor is it listed on the agenda for next week. During the August 19th BOCC meeting, the county administrator reported there were continuing technical difficulties establishing the virtual town hall. I understand that. I've tried to set up things like that myself. At approximately 12:30 yesterday, I received a notification on the Leavenworth County, Kansas Facebook page announcing the Leavenworth County administration will host an online Q&A with county staff about data center regulations. Though, while this is a great step towards public transparency, there are a few related issues with this. 24-hour notice on a public page is probably legally sufficient, but it presents an appearance of stalling until the last possible moment, making it more difficult for people to arrange time from work to sign on and to participate. Additionally, the Project Bluestem link that was added to the planning and zoning portion of the official Leavenworth County website wasn't populated until yesterday afternoon with both PUD documents and a few hundred supporting pages of documentation. This did not make it very easy for the general public to be able to review, adequately prepare statements for this meeting, much less prepare questions for this afternoon's Q&A session. Now, just earlier in this meeting, Mr. Lowry did resolve one of my other issues that I had concerning the evening BOCC meeting in Tonganoxie, and I'm very happy to see that that was done. Commissioners, your time is valuable. The time of the county staff is valuable, as demonstrated by this budget. But the time of the residents of Leavenworth County is valuable too. Many folks have to adjust job schedules or coordinate childcare in order to participate in their local government. We should try to provide every opportunity to make public participation the goal, rather than just trying to meet the minimum legal requirement of notification. More public involvement equals more public investment in the community. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
I just want to address a couple things on that. Last week it was discussed, and we did visit with legal counsel. Our process, in order to protect us, does not allow for us to be having a meeting with the planning commissioners who will be making ultimately the decision and recommendations. We really need to keep the bodies separate at this point for the consideration of the project. And that was alluded to and talked about. I don't know if you caught that, but that was there. Also on the county administrator, he has been putting this together. This is not going to be the last. His intention. This is just the first. We're just getting started. I don't think there was any intention of any kind of a stalling. Thank you.
Let me just add one thing too, because Mike's jumped in. I understand how frustrated we get out there on staff and on council members, but since I was a city administrator in Lansing for 16 years, I did Oswego, and I'm there looking. And this is not to make excuses for the people that's being talked about, but I will tell you, the county administrator with a county this size, whether it's Mark or anybody else, is setting about $85,000 for one person. There is no other place I know that only has one and doesn't have an assistant. I'm not saying we should spend the money. Pacer has an assistant. Leavenworth has an assistant. When the one man, I've watched him, when the one man has to come in and try to get these things done, He's working with a lot of different things going around. So I understand your frustration, but try to be a little patient with some of the staff. I'm not saying what you don't think they're not looking like they're trying to push it down our throat. The conversation's been had, believe me. At the same time, though, remember that this is new to them. A lot of it's new, and we're just trying to get caught up on it. Y'all know where I stand. I've told you. But try to take it a little easier on staff, I would ask. And if you got something to say, deal with the staff one-on-one. Mark's door is always open. John Jacobson's door, he worked for me for 25 years in Lansing. His door is always open. Or with the county commissioners. They'd gladly sit down and talk with you. But trying to badmouth somebody or talk negative here, the way it's being done, is not appropriate. Say what you want. Say that you don't think there's transparency. I get it. I've been asked some questions myself. But I think we need to be a little bit kinder on how we handle this if we ever want to get resolved and get this thing done. Thank you.
Welcome.
I'm going to speak anyway.
You go right ahead.
My name is Linda Sturgeon, and I live at 16950 206th Street, Tonganoxie. I haven't been able to come to all the meetings, but I've watched them, every one of them, online. Thank you for having the YouTube channel. That has been very nice to watch. And so I want to give you some observations of things that I have been thinking about over the last few weeks and months. My first topic is directed at Commissioner Dove and Mark Lowry. You both ask constituents not to send you postcards at home. And I'm going to paraphrase, but you both indicated that you enjoyed your peaceful home and you didn't want anybody interrupting it by sending you postcards. I understand that. I didn't send either one of you a postcard. But I am concerned, and the thing that I thought about during that is you're concerned about getting postcards at home. I'm concerned about having some gas-fired turbines a mile southwest of my home sending particulates and everything else right toward me. And that doesn't even include the water that if they flush some of these closed-loop systems into the aquifer, what it's going to do to my well water. And frankly, that makes me sad, but it really just makes me mad as well. My second observation also is directed to Commissioner Dove, and that is if you have on more than one occasion said that you took exception with somebody saying you didn't care about kids. I understand that. You talked about going to visit with somebody that had a child with a health issue similar to something that you were familiar with. But it's not enough to say, I care about kids. You have to do something about it. And when we have those same turbines a mile or two from the elementary school and the middle school, that's not good. And so you have to do something. And, you know, my grandkids go to that school. A lot of people's grandkids here go there as well. And I'm really concerned about that. And so your position as commissioner is to do something about it, not just talk about it. And as since you represent me, I'm a constituent of yours on this commission, that would be my expectation, that you do everything you can to protect the kids of Tonganoxie with all of what's going on. Last week, I listened to the gentleman talk about the financials for the Project Bluestem. I listened actually to it twice, and then I printed off the report and read it. I'm not going to tell you I understood everything in it, but I thought it was interesting that the analysis was very one-sided. It only talked about projected revenue, didn't say anything about cost. And the other thing that it brought to mind is for months, people have been asking questions, and the answer was, we don't have an application yet, so we can't give you that answer. And yet within a week of getting the application, we had a, 42-page report that talked about the financial incentives. The last part of my question is, okay, we've got some financial information. What about the health risks? What about what these gas turbines are going to do to the people of Tonganoxie? I haven't seen anything or heard anything about any studies on those areas. And my last question is probably really going to irritate you. I want to know who has signed NDAs. And whether it's been commissioners or staff, I think we have a right to know who has signed them. And you certainly won't tell me if you have signed one, but you can tell me if you have not signed one. So it seems like that we're really working toward Cloverleaf and not toward the people of Leavenworth County. Thank you.
Morning.
Hello. Okay. I'm going to be sending you that electronically. My name is Kim Colbert. I live at 2325 East Sycamore Street in Tonganoxie. And I couldn't read that whole thing. There was too much. Annie. So I think the bulk of what I intended to say has really been very well represented by some of the other speakers. So I'm going to give you the letter and let you look through that and see my specific concerns, but I think I'm just going to skip straight to the real big ones. Okay. First of all, I go into transparency and the lack thereof, and it would, just to remind you why we say things like this, is that the company website has not been updated since the open house meeting. No new information has come out. And look at what we've got now. We've got 2 applications that dodge around the regular regulation system, and we haven't had anything officially presented to us about any of this stuff, at least not anywhere public. We hear things. The next thing I want to point out is that there are some gaps in that transparency that are very clear, and I go into what I want you to look for when you're going through the information that I haven't had a chance to look at yet. Okay? There are hints of bad behavior in the language they use and the rules they try to use for some of these things. Gas turbines, as was pointed out, we don't know how they're going to use them for sure. Okay, but they could be completely behind the grid, and we have no idea what Evergy and Cloverleaf have worked out how they're going to handle that. That's not transparent. Okay, so these are things we need to know. But anyway, I'm just going to push down here and point out that water use can be hidden. You need to be aware of the triggers for water use and how what they're going to do. It's going to come with the equipment. When they tell you what kind of equipment it is, you need to look at it and make sure they're not hiding water use. And I just go to my little ask here at the end, I think. We don't have any real good information on a few things that are out there that we could say is kind of that Cloverleaf is modeling. It's too new. We do not have field data that's been generated, and even if we do, sometimes they don't tell us about it. Companies like to keep it close what kind of pollution they're putting out. Okay, so we don't have anything to base that on. What I would like to see happen is a public release of all of these little things, like who had a meeting before these documents came out, a consultation with Cloverleaf about these PUDs. I love that name, PUDs. A project timeline should be made available for every change that's been made from the original presentation so that we know where they're moving toward. We don't have any idea. We get one piece of information, and the next thing you know, it's a bigger thing. It's going to be a bigger wattage. We don't even have any clarity on that yet. I want a timeline. I want to see their timeline for when they develop this 100 and whatever page documents for each of these things. They had them ready to go, apparently. I would like to see, as I said, the Evergy-Cloverleaf relationship clearly defined, because they could walk away from this center. If Evergy co-owns it, do they take on the debt for the whole power center, the whole power plant? And then does that get passed down to residents. It's important to understand their relationship. I would expect a complete specification on the turbines, being able to watch out for that hidden power, that hidden water use, and the point about a cumulative air quality, an environmental report that hits everything. It is comprehensive and combines the potential effects of geology and weather and the surrounding potential data centers. All of those things should be there. Waste disposal of water, a complete financial evaluation. The Stifle report did not have enough stuff in it. There are others, as I've said, many people have mentioned it, but I thank you for being very conscientious while you look at these proposals.
Thank you. Thank you.
I guess I'm next. My name's Minette Holton.
Good.
Good morning. And I live in Stranger Township, Tonganoxie, Kansas.
There you go. Thank you.
I'm going to read an email that Jane Dent sent to Mr. Lawfrey. I know you didn't want us to speak specifically, but I am. For the wider audience that's also viewing from the videos. She received this sent this email to Mr. Lawfrey on Saturday, July 25th, and she never received a response from Mr. Lawfrey. And Jane will continue with mention about the email in her speech. But this is the email. I would like to bring to your attention that you left a very timely item off the agenda dated July 29th, 2026. That item is the discussion of extending the moratorium on the proposed hyperscale 1.2 gigawatt data center. This was voted on at the BOCC meeting held on July 15th, 2026, and passed by a vote of 3 in favor to 2 against a discussion. I was led to believe at that meeting this discussion would take place within a couple of weeks, which would mean it should be on the agenda for July 29th, 2026. I truly believe, as a constituent of Leavenworth County and a registered voter, this needs to be discussed before the upcoming primary that will be held on August 4th, 2026. This matter is of utmost importance, so that if you would kindly amend the amendment or the agenda for the meeting of July 29th, 2026, I would truly appreciate it. Thank you for your attention to this most important matter, and I look forward to seeing the amended agenda first thing Monday morning. Please email it to me as soon as possible. Thank you again, Jane Dent, constituent of Leavenworth County for 35 years. So I wanted to read that to you, and as I said, she will continue her discussion on that. I just had a few words. Sorry, my mouth got dry, so I had to put some gum chewing on it so I won't cough. I just wanted to say, and you've heard the expression, don't throw out the baby with the bathwater, and it's been said many times. Well, in this case, with no regulations in place, and we moved ahead to not have a moratorium, maybe that can be amended. We didn't just throw the baby out with the bathwater. We didn't even draw the bathwater. Regulation, I mean, there's nothing there. There's zero. You should all be ashamed. So I wanted to delve just a little bit deeper into that Stifle report. I had a very intelligent individual that looked through it, and there was, I mean, it was so weak. And I realize this is a preliminary report, but perhaps it shouldn't have been brought forth until we knew a little bit more. He pointed out a lot of things, and I wish I had brought it with me, his words on it. Did you know that the road and the bridge right there next to Tailgate, it's going to have to be completely done out. Those are small dirt gravel roads, and they're going to have to be expanded, and you guys all know this, but there's also a bridge there, and it can't be replaced with just a culvert. It's going to have to be something a little bit bigger, and the constituents of Leavenworth County, we're hung up for that. So there's a lot of things in that report, like Linda said, like other people have said, that don't even show us the costs. It's so wrong the way it's stated. And I just wanted to say also that this massive, mega-heavy industrial complex with a data center and now a power plant, it's resource-sucking, pollution-inducing, ticking time bomb. This is not right for the citizens of Leavenworth County, and certainly not for Tonganoxie. And those people who live within a mile, such as me, such as several people here that live within a mile, and our kids and our future generations. No. And I listened to your video. I've got a little bit more time, Mr. Culbertson, and I don't agree with a lot of what you said in your video to the League of Women Voters. Yeah. So, yeah, be aware. Just like everybody has said, we're watching. We've got the facts, and I don't know why it is that we seem to know more than you all, or maybe there's something that stinks.
So I just want to address something.
Mm-hmm.
The moratorium did not get placed on the agenda on the 29th. I was aware as chair that it did not get placed on the agenda on the 29th. And the reason I did not want to move ahead on the 29th was I did not want to see, and I did not make it an issue that it wasn't on there, but I did not want to see the moratorium become politicized in the midst of it. We were just days away from the primary election, and I felt that it would politicize the issue. It was not placed. It was not my. I did not direct that it not be placed on there, but I did note that it was not placed on there, and I did not object. And I think it probably is better that it wasn't acted on right ahead of the primary election. But I did not address that before, so I'm just going to put that out there.
I was expecting it also, besides Jane Dent, seeing it the next week. It wasn't on there, wasn't on the next one, wasn't on the next one. So, and I guess he makes up the agendas, so.
But it's not on him.
It's not on him. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Jane Dent, Tonganoxie Township, District 5. Good morning. On May 13, 2026, Commissioner Steben made this motion. I move that Leavenworth County adopt a 90-day moratorium on further development of Project Bluestem or any other data center proposal, battery storage facility, or crypto storage facility. This will serve as a pause until the county has time to consider and adopt our regulations for such facilities. During this period, the commissioners will hold additional work sessions and hearings to give proper opportunity for all aspects of this massive and transformative project to be considered, so we can obtain and receive more information. Excuse me. No application for Project Bluestem will be received by the county within this period. Excuse me. After that motion passed 3-2, Commissioner Reed stated, I'm highly disappointed in the three of you, and I think the future of Leavenworth County continues to be at risk. We'll have 3 new commissioners next year, so I can only hope they'll be more forward-focused. Seriously, I was thinking, is this not showing us, the constituents, that someone here might be in favor of this proposed project? She continued by letting us all know that those of us, including some commissioners who use smartphones, are being hypocritical. Mr. Smith spoke up to explain his support for the pause because it would give the county time to gather information and better understand what was being proposed. He also said, I will not hurry anything. That is why I support it. So on May 13th, the 90-day moratorium passed, and the purpose of it was clear: to pause, to gather information, to hear from the public, and to develop the regulations. Fast forward to July 15th, when Mr. Steben proposed a discussion to extend the moratorium to be placed on the agenda, which passed 3-2. Since it passed, we, the public, believed that Mr. Lawfrey would have the discussion on the agenda the following week, July 22nd. To our surprise, it wasn't there. So we assumed it would surely be on the July 29th agenda because Mr. Lawfrey would never let something of such importance slip by him. When I saw the agenda on Saturday, July 25th, and again the discussion was missing, I was very upset. That same day, I decided to email Mr. Lawfrey, and Manette just read the email. I never received a response from him. The July 29th agenda was not amended. The discussion didn't take place before the August 4th primary. Needless to say, the results of the primary were used as a reason to not extend the moratorium, just as I predicted. Commissioner Culbertson cited the primary election results of Janet Klasinski's win as evidence that his entire district was pro-data center. I hope that it was just an oversight that Mr. Lawfrey left the moratorium discussion off the agenda for 3 weeks prior to the primary, but after he received my email pointing out the issue, it's hard to make that assumption. The vote was swayed by the primary results. I feel these issues have not allowed the constituents their due process, especially in a timely manner. Many of you in this room have thrown the words due process in our faces concerning Cloverleaf. My question to you and this staff, when will the constituents receive the answers to their questions they have been asking for months? When will the studies begin that we were told would start after the 90-day moratorium began? When did the BOCC hold additional work sessions and hearings to find out all the aspects of this massive toxic producing facility? What health issues might it cause the residents living near it and the students attending the schools less than 1.5 miles away? As far as I can tell, Cloverleaf has been given their due process for at least 6 months now, and they have turned it in an application for not just a data center, but for a natural gas-fired power plant that will sit adjacent to the data center. In my eyes, this is insane. The proposed site is too close to the Tongi schools. This discussion should end today. I have one question for Mr. Lawfrey. Please tell us what the plan is for the remaining $450,000. We've seen how it's been handled. It's handled so far, and we are not pleased. The county has hired a PR firm and a pro data center law firm and commissioned a biased financial analysis study. Finally, I'm requesting the BOCC put a 2-year moratorium on all natural gas power plants and hyperscale data centers in Leavenworth County. Better yet, do not accept the Cloverleaf application and tell them to just go away today, please. Thank you.
Warren.
Good morning. My name is Lori Putoff. I live at 21686 Tonganoxie, or 219th Street in Tonganoxie. I wasn't going to talk. I don't like public speaking, really, but a couple of things I just felt I wanted to say to you all, particularly to Commissioner Culbertson. I know some of the comments that you've made publicly and then at the League of Women Voters. You talked about that you felt there was a mandate based on the last election and who was elected, whether you should be pro or against the data center. I was looking at the not all of it, but the 308-page Kansas County Commissioner's Desk Book. And in going through that, one of the statements that stuck out at me said, as a commissioner, you work for the county, not just your district. So when you're making decisions, you have to focus on the economic, the health, welfare, and safety of the citizens and care for the land, for the agriculture, all of it. So this focus on property taxes, get 30% off, 70% off, 100% off, which we know 100% can't be true. But whatever reduction, I'm a senior. I'm a fixed income. My husband and I are both fixed income seniors, retired. My property taxes are over $13,000 a year. I would love to have them reduced. But what I don't want is that to come at the cost of possibly my property value, possibly my health, my neighbor's health, my family's health, the health of the children and the teachers and the administrators that have to work close to a data center that could very well be, polluting them on a daily basis, not just air pollution, but also the noise pollution. I just think that the costs don't support that property taxes is, hey, we need to push this through. The state has had an opportunity to reduce property taxes with the LVATR, whatever it's called, and they didn't do it. They lacked the ability to get that through, and then they basically took that off the table. So pushing big data industrial solutions down our throats is not the answer. And that's basically all I want to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Additional public comments. All right. I do have a couple things I wanted to share, and I'm going to offer a motion. And this, you might take note of this, Kansas, this is from the revised statute, but this is Kansas statutes annotated 65-3016, local air quality conservation programs. Any city, county, city, and county, or any combination of two or more cities, counties, and cities and counties are authorized to conduct tests and surveys to determine the degree of purity of the air within its jurisdiction, and may request consultation, technical assistance, and cooperation from the Secretary of conducting such tests and surveys if such tests and surveys indicate the unsatisfactory air quality exists or is likely to exist or is likely to occur. The governing body of the city or county shall have the authority, upon approval of the Secretary, to establish a local air quality conservation authority, provided that no local air quality conservation authority shall be so approved except after a public hearing as provided in this act. And this statute goes on and on. I would encourage you to look up this statute and request that we, as the county, become involved with the local city down in Tonganoxie to do just this with this proposed gas-fired plant. My understanding from just reading, we just got the information, but it looks like it's going to be a 200 megawatt combination turbine generator, and they also want to locate a 100 megawatt battery storage facility on site. So 300 megawatts is what it looks like it's going to be. This is only, however, a draft document, so that's all subject to change. But and we're still reviewing it. But the other thing I wanted to say is, I believe the reason we have a lot of the citizenry concerned here is because we feel blindsided. And it's been this way since the very beginning of when this came down. We had to have it like dripped out to us what's happening. We didn't get the full picture of this, and we didn't even understand until last week that this power plant is not necessarily for powering the data center. It's actually going to be feeding into the grid, and that will not have anything to do with the powering of the data center. So one would then say, why? Why do they need to have a power? Why does the data center, Cloverleaf, the brokers that are trying to bring this data center in, why do they need to have this power plant at all? Well, do some research. Evergy has limitation on power. Very limited amount of power. The Lawrence coal-fired power plant is stretched to its limits. There's not a lot of power out there, and there's many competitive projects, including one in DeSoto and a whole bunch of them in the metro. And why would they want a power plant on site? For only one reason: just to elevate their project to the top of the list to receive the power from Evergy. It's just it's a shell game, but it's the kind of shell game that billionaires play. When I look at blindsiding, I look at the fact that our moratorium ended on August 10th. Well, we placed on the agenda the following Wednesday to revisit the moratorium. So we had 7 days, a small period without the moratorium. Well, what happens during this period? We have a report comes out and shows us how spectacular for the taxpayer this is. It just suddenly appears to be done on the same agenda as renewal of the moratorium. We've been through that report. And then what also happens? The eve of the vote, the project application suddenly appears. And we find out there's two applications. There's two separate projects. This gas-fired power plant and the original project that we've all been talking about. Well, there's been a lot of questions that we asked at the 6-hour work session about data centers. We covered a lot of that ground. If you go back and watch that, go back and watch what Mr. Ballou from Cloverleaf said, and see if you could find anywhere in there that he alluded to the fact that they were going to have a power plant that was not connected as far as producing energy that would go directly to the data center. If you could find that, let me know. I'm going to go back and review the whole thing. You know, it's not exciting TV, but it's a lot out there. But I never understood, and I don't think the other commissioners understood, they're going to have two separate projects. And I don't understand myself what the ramifications are of not moving ahead with standalone regulations and zoning, just moving ahead regular zoning, as opposed to moving ahead with a process where we're involved in planned unit development. But both of these project proposals are listed as planned unit developments. I'm still trying to consult with folks that are well versed in that to know is there some reason why we're moving in that direction, and I'm still looking for those answers. But at this time, I would like to offer a motion that we bring the moratorium proposal off of the table for consideration, and that's my motion. To bring a motion to bring the moratorium off the table for consideration. We tabled it.
I'll second.
Motion and a second to bring the moratorium off of the table for consideration. Is there discussion? Mr. Reed. She's not on the phone.
She's still there.
Is she still there?
She's messaged that she had to go to an appointment.
Oh, she's no longer with us. Okay. Commissioner Culberson. Mr. Smith. Any comments? Okay. Then voting Commissioner Doug. No, Commissioner Culberson will be first.
No.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
So equally divided, the motion fails. Also, I would like to make a motion at this time that we instruct staff to prepare a procedure for conducting a countywide vote on whether we should have hyper data centers located within the county prior to regulations being developed.
Yes.
And that's my motion.
Second.
Discussion?
Chairman, I thought at one time that we had an agreement that we would not do motions on the fly, and this seems to be just another one that has come up to give us a chance to investigate whatever it is that we're making a motion on.
So these are items that were tabled.
But to vote on something that was supposed to be on the agenda.
What's on the agenda?
Okay.
Not even.
I'm willing to withdraw my motion on this one and make a motion that we place having staff prepare for a countywide vote on the hyper data centers and have that placed on the agenda for discussion at next week's meeting.
Sorry.
So that's my motion. Any further discussion? So voting, Commissioner Duff.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
And now we'll go to what's the open. We will go to, I'm sorry, presentations. Mr. Dove, do you have anything?
No, I do not.
Mr. Culberson?
Nope.
I do not have anything. Is there a need for an executive session? There is not. And we've done our public comments, so I'm going to take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay.
Aye.
All right, for sure.